Hey friends, hi Paul. Thanks for joining again. I I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that anyone listening to this recording later is checking this out. I've been doing these lives for a little while because we have an upcoming course, How to Build Abundance in Cryptocurrency. The doors close a week from tomorrow, and I'm coming into this today thinking that I talk about the following, which is that a few hours ago, um, I received notification that this legal battle that I'd had for a long time with a centralized cryptocurrency exchange. I'm not allowed to say their name at this point. But you might know if you've heard me talk about this before. And I was ruled against. So this multi-billion-dollar corporation, which I trusted with my money, was allowed to steal a what for me is a lot of money. And I haven't closely reviewed the ruling yet. It's from an arbitrator at a for-profit arbitration firm that they forced me to use. They do everything they can to prevent people who are wronged from taking a case to court. But from what I could tell, it looks like the ruling was about decisions that a lawyer I briefly hired over a year ago had made that I wasn't aware were bad decisions. I eventually let that lawyer go because I could tell he wasn't doing a good job, and he also had problems with misogyny. And I represented myself from that point on. And I'm bringing this up because it just shows how messed up the current system is, essentially. We live in a system in the country where I live in the US, but it's a problem all around the world in which it's totally okay for a very powerful multi-billion dollar corporation to wage war against an individual woman like me who like dared to speak up because they ripped me off, and they can win. And fighting this, I don't know if you like, I feel so tired and I'm feel so sad about it. I meditated in a vertical live not long after I got this notification, and I just had tears like streaming down my face because I was thinking about this is what this world is. This is what this world does to people every day. And we're so isolated as individuals, and we're so conditioned to believe that we don't have power to come together to put a stop to stuff like this, that I think it just crushes a lot of us. I know I feel crushed right now, and I fully intend to keep fighting that battle. And also at the same time, I felt so sad about what a waste the whole thing was. What a waste it was. It was so much resourcing that went into fighting me, and the lawyers who were on the opposing counsel. I'm not saying that they're evil people, but they were doing this work for this organization, which has donated large amounts of money to Trump, by the way, very publicly, to take down the female founder of a social good organization. And that's what that person is doing with his time. And he's probably making, $500 an hour or more doing that. And it just really hit home, like how much these systems need to fall. I know I've said that a lot of different times in a lot of different ways for a long time, but it's truer now more than ever, I think. It shows itself to be more and more true every day. And I trust that the energies are about to change, and there are going to be shifts that get away from permitting these abuses of power. But right now it feels really hard, and it feels like there's a lot of momentum on that side. You know what I mean? So Seeds is working to be a part of that shift, to be a part of that change, to help us transition away from this type of just really messed up organization of society. And the course that I mentioned previously, How to Build Abundance in Cryptocurrency, sustains Seeds so that we can continue doing the work that we do to help people in need around the world. I guess today I'll talk further about, I mean, it's such a strange thing, and I find myself caught between two worlds always when talking about this course, and I've taught a version of it now for 6 years because the world of cryptocurrency, and this has gotten more and more pronounced over the last couple years, is thought to be just about profit seeking, and there isn't a lot of integrity or like uh, any interest in the greater good in that world in a lot of ways. And when I decided to start teaching this course in 2019, I did so at that time because I recognized that cryptocurrency as a thing was well enough known by that point, by 2019, which was the year before the last cryptocurrency market cycle started. It was well enough known that there were enough people in the mainstream who were kind of thinking like, oh, I've heard of this. I heard of Bitcoin a few years ago. I didn't really pay attention to it then. Maybe I should start paying attention to it now. And they wanted to learn more. And so I offered the course as a way to support Seeds. And the course is effectively free when you pay in full upfront because it includes Seeds cryptocurrency whenever you sign up. But there's still been this schism. And I think it's really representative of kind of, I guess, the stage the world is at right now. In that, um, yeah, just like what I was describing earlier, these energies in the form of institutions, in the form of archaic laws that don't make any sense, um, they can still crush feminine energies, energies that are about supporting other people, helping others, supporting creativity, getting us out of the trap of having to trade our time for money while working for corporations, which so many of us end up having to do in order to get the money that we need to live at this time in history, right? Because money itself is not evil at all. It's a tool. And there's so much of it everywhere. And as I've said a bunch before, it's crazy that we're sort of forced into this system that is scarcity driven, a money system that is scarcity driven because money isn't scarce at all. It's constantly printed at all times. There's more and more of it every second. So Seeds is working to help the flow of that improve so that more and more of us are shifting into abundance so that we're not stuck being abused, frankly, by energies in that old system. We can look at the prices really quickly. Another thing that's happening at this time is that Bitcoin itself is very near its all-time highs, which are, according to this graph, if we look at this graph makes it look like they're a little bit below 105,000. And we broke through that on May 12th, 2 days ago. But we can't entirely trust any graph, really. I'm not sure where this is pulling data from specifically, but I didn't see news headlines about Bitcoin breaking its highs. And I know that it's been reported at other prices on other platforms. But the idea that I'm trying to share is that we're very close. And what is likely to happen, based on my experience in this sector in the past, is that when it starts to break all-time highs, then we'll start to see that hype cycle moving again. We'll start to see more movement, and we could start to see it break all-time highs again and again and again. And the second cryptocurrency, the second largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization, Ether, is still much lower percentage-wise in value. It has not recovered as much as Bitcoin has in terms of percentage. If we look at the last 6 months, it's still down almost 20% over the last 6 months, whereas Bitcoin is up almost 15% over the last 6 months. So I think that Ether is still oversold. So there's still more opportunities there to buy. And I would love to have more disposable income to do that. I've talked a lot about Bitcoin and Ether specifically in these lives And I was reflecting on whether or not I should discuss other cryptocurrencies in more depth. I could talk more about seeds, but seeds is such a different thing that I mean, we talk about it some in the course, but seeds is about transcending the entirety of the system design. So it's a different thing. And there aren't other cryptocurrencies that I've seen in the past several years, really, that are doing anything that I find interesting. And I've questioned whether or not that's me like being too old school or something, even though old school means, I guess you could say it's old school that I started buying Bitcoin in 2013. At this point, that's a while ago in the life cycle of cryptocurrencies, a sector. And I don't think that's why. I don't think that a lot of innovation has been happening in the space in the last several years because the energy has become grosser and it's become more about like quick cash grabs and what Trump is doing with his crypto fund or something and all of the conflicts of interest there and involving foreign governments taking money from foreign governments. That's kind of what cryptocurrency as a sector has come to embody, and seeds is very much the polar opposite of that. So I think I always want to try and make sure to, reflect on the decisions I'm making and try and be honest with myself and try and quickly catch if I'm making a mistake or going off course in terms of how I'm viewing what's going on in the cryptocurrency sector and like generally in life. And that's what I realized. I don't think there's been much going on for a long while. NFTs really got hyped in like early-ish 2021, which was around the time we were seeing all-time highs for that market cycle. So that's 4 years ago now, over 4 years ago now. And I think NFTs have been around for a bit by that point. They were just getting super hyped by that time. Actually, let's look at People NYT. This article is from October of 2021. This guy Beeple was one of the prominent NFT sellers who made another piece of work he made, I think that he sold earlier that year. Yeah, March of 2021, he sold for $69 million. So that was like the peak of that hype cycle. I should stress for those who are newer to the cryptocurrency world that when I'm talking about, Bitcoin being so near breaking its all-time highs, and that likelihood that once that happens, it may keep happening because that's the way things have played out every past cryptocurrency market cycle. This is kind of what I'm alluding to. Like NFTs drove a lot of the hype in the last market cycle, and they are interesting and they help artists, which is important. And that element had been missing from finance certainly for forever, right? Like artists are often struggling financially because the economic system isn't set up to support creativity for creativity's sake. Yeah. I wonder how much this NFT is worth today. I wonder if we can look that up. It's not on the market, this says, but I don't trust. Have y'all been checking out how inaccurate these like AI overview, whatever, from Gemini, Google's AI tool, are? They're often wrong, and I resent that they make us look at it first. This should not be the first search result. And I know they're just doing it so that humans make it smarter by fixing the mistakes. And it's just, I resent it. So it looks like we can't find that information, or at least I can't find it in a quick Google search. But we're probably going to see hype that is similar to this. And I wonder what the cause is going to be this time around. One of these cycles, I wonder if it isn't going to be seeds that is a contributing thing. Whether it's this cycle, although that's hard to see at the moment because everything is so clouded in this Trump-like energy. Um, but I do see that happening in the future. It's just that seeds is so separate in construction and design from what's going on in other cryptocurrencies that it doesn't fit within that model. But I mean, when seeds goes up in value, it's likely going to be because it's people that want to make the world a better place kind of thing, right? It's not going to be people that just solely want to make money as it is when other cryptocurrencies go up in value, which isn't to say that people don't believe in, like, I know that there are people that believe in Ethereum in particular. There are definitely Bitcoin maximalists who are very pro Bitcoin and anti other cryptocurrencies. But yeah, so we'll see something, I would guess, driving the hype cycle this time that maybe we can't necessarily predict just yet. So, what I'm trying to say is that if you're not involved already and you're a good giving person, especially, that's who I'm hoping to reach when sharing these thoughts and ideas and the experience and information that I have. If you've never heard me say this before, I used to be a pro stock trader in Chicago and on Wall Street. And I started buying Bitcoin in 2013 when it was at about $90 a coin. So I've been through several cryptocurrency market cycles at this point, and also back in 2013, I always confuse the year. I think it was 2013 officially. I founded Seeds, our social good cryptocurrency project, which allows you to build wealth through giving, because when you help someone in need, you receive an equal or greater value in Seeds cryptocurrency and thanks. And that means your gift is net neutral from the start, doesn't cost you anything. And then if the seeds go up in value over time, you could actually build wealth because you gave. But the key there to seeds scaling and growing longer term is that spirit of generosity. If there are people involved with the ecosystem who are taking from it too much, and if there aren't people who are adding to our mutual aid pool, for example, that's something that's really important. We need to have new ether added to the pool, then it can't grow. So I wonder sometimes if it's just that society has to grow a little bit further before it can really take off. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably not wrong. I think that seems to me like what's going to happen. So in the meantime, the course has sustained seeds. I'll show you the link. The course sustains seeds and has for the last 6 years, so that since I started teaching it in 2019, so that we can ensure that 100% of the value of gifts that come through the seeds ecosystem go to folks in need. And as I said, it's effectively free when you pay in full upfront because you get seeds when you sign up. And I should be sure to share, because I often don't stress this enough or at all, that I am not aware of anyone else out there who's offering something remotely similar who can share the insight and experience that I have coming from the traditional financial system and, career as a pro stock trader who was able to figure out ways to make money even when the markets were crashing in 2008, who then started a cryptocurrency project, which is about transcending the old system. So my perspective is unique. I mean, I haven't found anyone else out there who's talking about anything even close to this. And I can share that with you in the course. And this is also the only live version of the course that we have scheduled for 2025, committed to teaching it once a year. And as I said earlier, the doors close 8 days from today, next Thursday, May 22nd. So that link is in the description if you want to check it out, sign up. If money is tight, you're welcome to redeem a seed to ask for help to attend. That option is available for you too. And so this is there. Beyond that, let's see. Paul says, so sorry to hear that. Down to the gatekeepers. Yeah, thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. It seemed a little this year like it's been in the past year, one really difficult thing kind of after another, in the sense of uh I mean, they're developed world problems. Like I still live inside a house, for example. I have enough food, and I'm grateful for those things. But yeah, it just seems like there have been things messing with me and with seeds to make things more challenging. And I mean, when I tune into it, I really think it's because of what seeds I think will ultimately become, because of all seeds can do to get us out of the old system. So things are trying to mess with that right now, but they're not going to win. I'm going to keep going. Seeds will keep going. Things will, as ever, everything is constantly changing. Paul says seeds being a catalyst in a cycle would be lovely. Yeah, it would be cool, right? I mean, it does seem like, because it has been something sort of unique each time. Uh, if we're looking at the cycle prior to the last cryptocurrency market cycle where NFTs were a big part of the hype in 2021, especially in 2017, I don't know. I don't, I think I talk about this to some extent in the course. So maybe you remember, Paul. But yeah, just to say for anyone watching, in 2017-ish, during that market cycle, the big cause for a lot of the hype was ICOs, which isn't a term you really see people use anymore, initial coin offerings. So because Ether was starting to gain a lot of traction, it had had technological problems, technical issues the year before, and they had to address that with a hard fork in the blockchain. And once that was taken care of, then things started to move, and a bunch of projects were built on top of Ethereum, which is the network that Ether, the cryptocurrency, runs on. Yeah, so there were all of these initial coin offerings, ICOs, of different cryptocurrency projects that were built on top of Ethereum. And so that was a reason for a lot of the hype then. So it has been kind of a different thing in various cycles. I mean, the cycle before that, it was more pure Bitcoin, because that was almost the only cryptocurrency that was around at that time. Ether wasn't even around in that previous cryptocurrency market cycle around 2013, 2014. Um, yeah. So when I framing it that way, talking through it in that way makes me realize that in that sense, Ethereum actually drove those last two hype cycles in a big way, because the ICOs were on Ethereum and most of the NFTs were also on Ethereum. But gas fees became so expensive on Ethereum that other projects tried to offer an alternative that was essentially doing the same thing but more cheaply. So that's kind of interesting. I hadn't, like, I guess, articulated that to myself in the past. So we'll see what it ends up being this time around. It'll be fun. It's always fun. The cycles are always exciting in my experience, so they should be again this time. So yeah, this is an interesting moment because we're so close to the highs, and because global economic policy is dictated by Trump. Doesn't look like it's going to be interfering anymore, because he's not doing stuff with tariffs, as we've talked about before. So yeah, it looks like that's not getting in the way now of the cryptocurrency prices anyway. It's causing other problems still. So on that note, I'll let y'all go. Keep it short today. As I mentioned, the link to the course is in the description if you want to join. If you resonate with the mission of what Seeds is doing, you'd like to support a good cause, you want to learn more about cryptocurrency trading from somebody who's been around it for a long time, who also has traded the traditional markets professionally, I'd love to have you in the course. It sustains our project. It's really appreciated. And yeah, if you're still considering, I'll be doing more of these lives heading up to the date that the course closes, a week from tomorrow. So I'd be happy to hang out with you on another one of those if you're down. These lives, I know I've talked about this before. Paul's heard me talk about it, but it's just kind of interesting too to see how YouTube is working, because they're really promoting vertical lives and not these at all. So it's just like a huge difference. But I can't really talk about this on a vertical live effectively, I don't think. Maybe I should at least try. It's just that in vertical lives, people just drop in, it's not scheduled so much, and they're not trying to show up for something that's scheduled in the same way. Anyway, okay, I will let y'all go. Thank you for hanging out, Paul. I appreciate you. Thanks, Paul. You're amazing. I appreciate you very much. You're always so encouraging, and it means a lot. It really helps. Oh, thank you. Paul says also congrats on the 1K subs. Thanks. That's really nice. Yeah, it's such a slog. I don't know if you've ever tried to do it on another channel. It takes a while. Yeah, I saw that. Maybe you saw in my comment, but yeah, I guess I saw someone say that on average now it takes 15 and a half months of consistent posting on YouTube for somebody to get monetized. And I'm not even monetized. I still have a long way to go in terms of watch time hours. And it's been about 15 and a half months. But it's been fun. I enjoy doing it. So yeah, thanks. We'll keep it up. I'm happy to be here. Okay, I'll catch you later. Thank you, Paul. Thank you for anyone else who may be catching this at another time, and any lurkers who might be here. And I'll see you Another time. Okay. Bye. Paul, you think it's vertical live is a great idea to experiment? Okay, cool. I'll definitely try it then. Thanks for that feedback. I'll try it. Okay. Bye.